all the content creators. My name is Ileane Smith, and I want to say hello to all the content creators out there. I'm a live streamer and a social audio enthusiast. And I have this belief and I have this passion to help those of you who have a voice. Well, everyone has a voice, but those of you who have a message that you would like to share, your message is important and it can impact someone who really needs to hear what it is you have to say. And so, one of the things that I like to do is to help those that feel that they're not tech savvy, I'm using air quotes for that, and who feel that they can't understand how to use all these different technologies out here and software and things. And I want to make it easier and make it so that you feel more confident with using technology, by taking baby steps. You need to first learn what are some of the options out there available and find the one that you feel the most comfortable with. And then from there, you can start to share your message because, like I said earlier, your message can have a huge impact on someone. It may even save someone's life. It could help them get through a troubling time, or it could just help them find their way. And hello, Ange. Great to see you. And let me know if you do want to speak. And so, um, just to make sure everyone knows, this space is being recorded, and I actually have backups for the backups for the backups on the recording. And so if you see that it's taking me a little while to get some things um, situated, that's because I am making sure that all the backups are working as they should. So the first thing I want to do, because I'm talking about Twitter Live versus Twitter Spaces, I want to make sure that you have access to some tutorials in case you're not familiar with Twitter Live or with Twitter Spaces. So the first one I want to share is one that I did where I showed people how they can use one of my favorite live streaming apps, and it's called StreamYard. And you can use StreamYard to go live on Twitter. All right. And I just pinned that into the nest. And the next one is sort of a little bit of a rant that I have with Twitter about some of the downfalls of using Twitter Live. Okay. And then I have a big old playlist with a whole bunch of tutorials about live streaming. So I'm just going to get all those up into the nest before we proceed. All right. So now like I said, let's talk a little bit about, Twitter Spaces. Really, Twitter Spaces is really live audio. And you have that ability to invite guests up to join a conversation. And it's social audio. So it's not really just about one person sharing their thoughts. It's supposed to be social. Now, a lot of times people use Twitter Spaces to record a podcast, so it may just be their thoughts in the beginning, and then later on they open it up, or they may have uh, a guest that they're interviewing, or even a panel discussion. And then when that is over, then they open the mic up for everyone else. So that is one of the common structures that you may see to these Twitter Spaces. So then, live streaming, which is one of my favorite things to do. And I've started live streaming back in, I believe it was 2016 when Hangouts on Air first launched over on Google Plus. And since then, I've tried a multitude of live streaming platforms. And one of the ones that I started using when it first came out was Periscope. And Periscope was eventually acquired by Twitter. Just to give history for those who don't know. And what happened was, I think that Twitter wasn't fully committed to the mission of Periscope, and they tried to iterate on Periscope, and there was never a full integration of Periscope and Twitter Live. And so it was almost like they were competing against themselves. So that, I think, was kind of one of the things that led to the demise of Periscope. And so over a year ago, I guess it's almost 2 years now, they shut Periscope down. However, they kept a lot of that technology that was running Periscope and is now being used for Twitter Spaces. This is why we have such great audio quality on Twitter Spaces. It's because this had already been perfected over the years of Periscope. And I would say Periscope was around for at least 5 years, maybe even more. And it's been a lot of the technology. They also kept with something they call Twitter Live. Now, what they did was they stripped away a lot of the features. We used to be able to, give each other hearts, and you used to be able to manage your Periscope or Twitter Live, I should say, in a certain place, and download them and all that. A lot of that functionality has gone away. And this is why I recommend using a third-party app when you're going live on Twitter. Oh, your tech coach is here. I'm so glad you're here. And I would love if you would want to take the mic. You know what? I'll send you an invite, because actually you had a live stream the other day talking about Twitter Live, and you had a few questions, and I could answer some of those questions today. So, as I mentioned earlier, and I do have the tweet in the nest here on Twitter Spaces, you can use something like StreamYard. Also, Ecamm Live can be used the same way, where they have a direct connection to Twitter Live. You don't have to use RTMP keys. You don't have to log in to the media studio or any of that. You just open up StreamYard or open up Ecamm Live, verify your Twitter account, or actually authorize them to have access to your Twitter account, and you can just choose from your destinations list on both platforms, on both StreamYard, which is a browser-based platform, and Ecamm Live, which is Mac-only software. Both of them have Twitter Live as a destination. So once you have authorized Twitter on either of those software, you never have to worry about it again. Every time you want to go live on Twitter, you just click Twitter as your destination. And so the reason why I like StreamYard, because StreamYard is browser based and it is not limited to only Mac users, and I highly recommend it. But you can also multi-stream. So if you're going live on Twitter, I highly recommend that you multi-stream to other platforms at the same time. Twitter is kind of like an add-on, because one of the most rewarding things as a live streamer, especially when you have an audience who is engaging with you, leaving you comments and feedback in the chat, We live streamers love that we can use these softwares like StreamYard and Ecamm Live to put the comments up on screen. And it makes the person who is your viewer feel great. It makes you feel good as well. And you can also add different calls to action banners on the screen. You can do screen sharing. For someone like myself, this is very important because I like to do how-to tutorials, and I'm showing people how to navigate different websites and different apps. And so the live streaming piece is amazing. The other day, I heard someone say as a feature request for Twitter Spaces that they would want to be able to have a video up at the top of the Twitter Spaces. And I guess that would kind of be basically a live stream. You're just adding in an extra component where you can bring in voices via audio. Ah, that I'm kind of, because I'm a live streamer. To me, I don't see the point of Twitter building that functionality into Twitter Spaces. Although I think it was a brilliant idea, don't get me wrong. It's just that I know that these developers pick and choose the things that they're going to dedicate their time and resources to. And it almost sounded to me like, well, why don't you just have a Twitter live? Because people can go live on Twitter. And I know typically when you think of a live stream, you think of people being on camera, but especially with an app like StreamYard, it's super easy to just turn off the camera. I mean, you can do this with Ecamm Live as well, and other softwares. I'm just picking on those two because they're my favorites. I love them and I use them all the time. And you don't have to be on camera. So it can be audio only. Now, there's a limitation to the number of guest speakers, but ironically, the number of speakers that you can have on StreamYard, the number of streamers is the same as the number of speakers that you can have on Spaces. So that number is 10. Of course, you need a pro plan on StreamYard in order to have 10. But either way, everybody can be on the live stream. Nobody has to be on camera. So it could be a conversation just like Twitter Spaces. And people can be in the audience listening in. And they have also the extra added benefit that they can leave those comments there on the tweet. Now, with Twitter Spaces, there is something that I don't think that they're going to fix. The only way that you can really get your comments on the live stream is through mobile. Someone who's just in the audience and they just want to leave a comment. Now, more than likely, the streamer is going to be on desktop. So not unless they have their second device in hand, they probably won't see your comments on Twitter Live. Now, with that said, let's go back to Spaces, because Spaces is testing a feature that is going to be like a chat where people can add their feedback onto a Twitter thread that will accompany the Twitter space. Now, if you want to see how it works, it's only a couple of accounts that I know. And hello, how are you, Samantha? Thank you so much for joining. Only a couple of accounts that I know that have this chat feature, and one of them is our good friend Ileane Mane. And I will add his handle somewhere here. And he has that feature. And so, for example, tomorrow there is going to be a Twitter space for his community. but I think it's going to be open that anybody can join. And so I'm going to navigate. So bear with me because I'm not as smooth as host Ileane. And so when I start navigating, trying to pin stuff, I can't talk and type at the same time. So let me just spell this out as I'm doing it. So it's JoSeLinMane, Hosseline Mane. And I'm going to see about pinning this tweet. Of course, he tweets a lot, so I have to find it. And then I will pin that. I think this is the newsletter. Let's see. How can I share that? Just one more second. I'm almost there. All right. So Hostline is someone who does have that feature. And just to recap, because I know Samantha came in as I was talking about it. And also I see that Rosanna is here. Hello, hello. I'm going to send you both the mic. And Tech for Your Needs is here. Hello, hello. All right. Let's see if we can get some more voices in here. And hello, everyone. All right. So, oh my goodness, Jed, it's been such a while since we talked, Jed. Thank you for coming as well. And so, all right. I was talking about the fact that going live on Twitter is different from going live on just about any other platform like YouTube, Facebook. I'm not going to say Instagram because Instagram's totally different. YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. You can bring those comments that people leave in the chat, you can bring them up on the screen so that people can see them. However, you cannot do that with Twitter Live. And I don't think that they're going to be changing that. Twitter Live seems to be in a holding pattern. And as I mentioned earlier, like the developers have to pick and choose the projects and things that they're going to work on. Oh, I see you guys did grab the mic. All right. So let me finish this thought. And then Sam, I'll get some feedback from you. And right now, they are really ferociously going after the social audio space. So they're not thinking about Twitter Live, to be honest with you. I don't even see some of the news outlets and other places using Twitter Live like they were, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Sam, what do you think?
Hi, Ileane. Hello. This is like a blab reunion. Look, Jed is here too. This is great. And Rosanna. Rosanna actually hosts Twitter Spaces a lot, so she might have more input than I would, and Sajad. But yeah, I think Twitter Live, a lot of people still don't know it's there, but I do use it for like you do, doing like you use StreamYard, I use Restream. It's like I'd go live that way. I'd very rarely go live on Twitter because where I would be, where the lovely views and stuff would be, the Wi-Fi wouldn't be great. So, yeah.
Yes, Restream is another option. I've actually used Restream, and a lot of folks use that in combination with Ecamm Live, but eventually Ecamm Live is going to have multi-streaming built in, so a lot of people won't need, people that are using Ecamm won't need the extra Restream piece. But Restream is a great, solid platform. I've used it before, and you know, I love that it's browser based, and it just makes it easier for people to just go live. And have you ever gone live without video? You just, like have your avatar there or a still image?
Do you mean like do you mean gone live on the Twitter app, like on my phone?
No, I
Sorry.
know. I meant okay, I was talking earlier about StreamYard, And one of the cool features that they have in StreamYard, and I can't say that I've seen people using this on Restream, is that you can easily just turn your camera off. Nobody ever has to have their face on screen. It's almost like a Twitter space in a sense, because you know, you don't have to be on camera. And which is, I think, one of the barriers that most people have about live streaming is they don't want to be on camera. It's like right now I'm having
Yeah.
a hair day, which is why I'm doing a Twitter space instead of being live on YouTube.
Yeah, I understand that. No, I haven't. I just no, I just go. I'm happy to go on camera, but I wouldn't go like today on camera the same, you know. But no, I haven't done the other thing. I have shared my screen and done demos live
Oh,
using Restream or Stream. Actually, will I grab one of my live streams and I'll DM it to you, see if you want to put it up.
oh no, go ahead, post it in the nest. And also, I'd like to hear from you as well, Miss Gina. She talks football. Did you have something you wanted to share?
No, actually, I didn't. I was actually coming in the room to listen and to glean. I'm sorry. First of all, got to greet the host when you come in. Hello, Ileane. Nice to meet you. I gave you a follow. Hello to everyone in the room. I actually just wanted to, I'm Miss Gina. She talks football. That's pretty obvious. I actually talk several sports, but football is my number one love. I use Twitter spaces all the time, every day. I host my own spaces a lot, or else I'm in somebody else's space, but I've never done Twitter live. So I was like, okay, let me come in here and listen and see what I can glean. But, you know, you kind of asked us to come up, so it came up. But I really just wanted to listen and see what all information I can glean that I would be able to utilize. So I appreciate you having this space.
Oh, great, great. Well, thanks so much. I can understand why you do a lot of spaces, because I can see that you are like, you have that personality, and I bet you have some amazing spaces. Hello, Jed. How are you? You're on mute. I don't know if you're trying to talk or not, but
Hey
there
guys,
you go.
just wanted to come in and say hi. I miss you so much.
I know. Hi, hi, hi. How's everything?
Going well, going well. I appreciate you inviting us into this this Twitter audio chat or what have you. This first one I've joined, so thank you, Ileane, and great to hear you, Sam.
So nice to hear you. Yeah, it's lovely when you see, isn't it lovely, Eileen, when you see familiar faces popping into your Twitter space? I love that.
It
Yeah.
is. And so, okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to tell you all about a couple of tools that you can use. And we talked about StreamYard and Ecamm Live, but I also want to tell you about some tools that you can use for Twitter Spaces, which I hadn't done. And so let me see. I'm doing a little bit of an inception here because I want to share with you Spaces Dashboard, which is a tool from Andrew. Oh, you know what? I need to share it this way. I need to tweet it out. Okay, so I can get it in here as a. Sorry about
Yeah,
that.
while you're doing that, Eileen, I put up in the nest how I use Restream, you know, to just do demos on Twitter. So that's how I use. Well, StreamYard is brilliant as well. Like, so it doesn't matter. It just depends, I suppose, on your budget and stuff. I think StreamYard has a free version that's very good, doesn't it?
Yes, they do. They start off with you can start off with a free version. And I know a lot of people like that option because they don't know if they want to use live streaming. But honestly, it's so affordable once you've done it and you realize that, hey, I kind of like this live streaming thing. It's like, just go for the pro. Because it's invaluable. You'll use it all the time. And, you can go live on Twitter. And Twitter is probably my least favorite out of all the places that you can go live. But your Facebook, your pages, your profiles, and all that. YouTube, which is my number one place where I like to go live. LinkedIn, and the whole bit. All right. So let's see if I can. I'm always talking about host Lean because he has this down pat where he navigates this stuff. This is my first time like really making sure that I'm pinning stuff up into the nest. So y'all just have to bear with a sister. And for those who don't know how to do this, I will tell you this. What you need to do is go to the tweet that you want to share, and at the bottom you'll see a little icon, little up arrow, and the first option there will be to share it into the space. And so I just realized that what I was trying to do didn't work, so I'm going to tell you this URL out loud, and it's spacesdashboard.com. spacesdashboard.com. And this is an app that is going to, for me, I love it because you can see all the people that are speakers, and you can do this from your desktop. All right. You can do it from mobile, but you wouldn't do it from the Twitter app. You would do it from the browser on mobile. But it's way better if you can actually do this on mobile. So on your desktop. So you're on your phone, you're in the space, but you want to make sure you don't miss out on anything that's pinned up in the nest, and that you follow all the speakers and so forth. And so spacesdashboard.com is amazing for that. And what you would do in order to search for, let's just say, a specific user, the easiest way to do it right now, that I am having a space. So you would go to spacesdashboard.com/u/Ileane. So it's always /u/the person's handle, who's the host of
Do
the
you mean the letter U slash the letter U
letter U. That's right. So
slash and then the person's name?
their Twitter handle. In my case, my name is my Twitter handle.
Oh, okay. The Twitter handle. Okay.
Yeah, the Twitter handle.
Wow, this sounds like such a great tool. I can't wait to try it out when I get
Yeah.
back to the office.
Oh yeah, I love it. And it just came out of beta, I think 2 weeks ago. And so you also have a leaderboard. Now, I was just using as an example of the way I really love to use it, but it also has like all the spaces that are live. Like right now, there's 359 live spaces. You can sort them by language. You can sort them by the top, have most people in. Like there's one space right now, I believe it's in French, and they have 1,138 participants. So y'all know I'm not going to try to say the name of the space because it's in French. Okay. But Seth Kakuni looks like that's the name of the person. He has 261,000 followers. So yeah, he's got 1,100 people in his space. And you can also search by the latest spaces. You can search by upcoming, meaning spaces that are scheduled. Then he has featured users. And you can add your space. So what I did, I scheduled today's space. I went and I added my space just to make sure that it was easy for me to find, because I wanted to make sure I could monitor it while talking. And so, yeah, it's just another layer of, you got to get a little tech savvy when you're doing these things. But,
Now, Ileane, will you get on to Twitter and see if they can mash up Twitter Live and Twitter Spaces so that we can have some good old-fashioned video chat like we did back in the old days?
No, I know. And this is what I was saying earlier. Someone asked for that because, okay, another thing that's going on now for Twitter. I'm going to let you guys know that I'm going to be on for 5 more minutes but I definitely want to share this with you. There is a feature on Twitter called communities. All right. And it's public. The tweets that go in there are public, but the communities are just a way to gather like-minded or people that follow a specific topic or whatever. So Twitter Spaces has created a community so that people can give their feedback. And I'll tell you what the name of that community is in 1 minute, because I joined the community. And so feedback, like what we were just talking about, is called Twitter Spaces Feedback. Twitter Spaces Feedback. Just look for that community, join that community, and you'll see that there's people there making suggestions all the time. And this is what they want. They want us to give them suggestions. The Twitter Spaces team is literally looking at these suggestions and seeing which ones they are going to implement. But I do want to reiterate that right now, the focus of Twitter, and I think you guys are starting to notice it, is really on the spaces. Twitter Live is like, it's there. I don't think they're going to get rid of it. I don't think. But they're not building out any new features on Twitter Live right now, because they are just like focused on spaces. And in a way, it kind of makes sense because, in places where there's not good bandwidth and things like that, it kind of makes sense that people can join spaces more readily than they can join a Twitter Live. Does that make sense? What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just, Ileane, just like you did when we started with live video and how to kind of take live video to the next level. You're bringing me to spaces and helping me take spaces to the next level. I love it. Thank you.
Awesome.
Ileane, so yeah, I appreciate it. I already learned something new. So I did put the spacesdashboard.com up in the nest if anybody just wanted to click on it from there. But you actually helped me solve a problem, because the spaces that you see on your timeline are still based on your personal timeline. The algorithm only shows you spaces for people that you are following. And so there are other spaces going on, but you won't see them because you're not following that person. But by using the Spaces dashboard, I was able to go on there. I actually changed it from the languages is right there to English, so it's only showing me the English ones. And then I could see literally all the spaces that are going on right now, even though I don't see them on my personal timeline. And so that'll allow me to expand my timeline. The algorithm will change up for me, and then I can go and pick some of those spaces, follow the host of those rooms. If I want those things to show up on my timeline, then that's an easy way for me to find them, follow those people, and then when they throw up a space, it will now show up on my timeline. So I was trying to figure out a way to be able to expand the spaces that I see on my timeline. Is very much curated around sports, which is what I want it to be. But I have another Twitter account. I can now access other spaces, other subject matters that I might want to see that wasn't going to show up on my timeline. So thank you for sharing that. I didn't know about the dashboard, so I appreciate that.
Oh, you're welcome. And the credit goes to Andrew Lyons. That's Lyons with a Y. So he's _ Andrew Lyons. And he is the developer of the Spaces dashboard, and he has worked closely with the users that when he had it in beta. He's absolutely amazing. And I do also want to give a shout out to my friend Rax here, who has sent me, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, sent me a DM and saying that I'm sorry. I told you I'm not as good as host Ileane. I'm going to be like him when I grow up one day. The spaces with the Twitter Live, that we can put that up into the nest, and then it would people could click on it within the space and they could see the live video feed. I don't know how many people will want to do that. Of course, those of us who are live streamers will be absolutely over the moon about it, but I think a lot of others will be confused. But that remains to be seen, and that they're planning on bringing these spaces into the communities. And so, if you get invited to a Twitter community, um, I think you should think about joining. And I also mentioned the one community that we could all join is just Twitter Spaces feedback. They're pretty much, I think, accepting anybody in there who, if they think that the person is doing spaces or has the potential for doing spaces. And like I said, it's just, and you're not going to hear from them. You're not going to like post something and then hear from somebody right away. I think they're using it as a gathering place of collecting all the feedback that, and there's some of people are putting bugs and things like that in there, which they want to hear that too. But I think it's more about feature requests and things. And, I'll tell you one thing. Someone was talking about LinkedIn audio and the features of LinkedIn audio. And there were several things that Twitter has over and above LinkedIn, but one of the most important ones I think was the co-hosting ability. And so those of you who haven't done a Twitter space before, you may want to think about doing one, partnering up with someone, because collaboration is always a great way to build community. And so they don't have that over on LinkedIn, and who knows how long it's going to be before they do. So take advantage of it here on Twitter. And, I love Twitter. I've been on here since 2009. And so we have a lot of options of what we can do with Twitter. And so in the next time I do a Twitter space, and unfortunately, I don't know the date of that. It may be tomorrow. I'm going to talk about some of the other hidden features of Twitter that you may or may not be using and you can take advantage of. So I want you all to take and make sure you turn on notifications for me, because I am going to be doing these Twitter spaces more often, because I just like it. I'm a live streamer, but I also love social audio. And I think Twitter is the place for me to do my social audio. So if anybody has any last words,
Ileane, can I just mention, I don't know what time zone you're in. I do a Twitter space on Mondays, a Women's Inspire Network Twitter space, and it's just tea, coffee, and networking. So if you want to jump in there, you're welcome to join us. It's open to the guys as well. It's just a chat and a bit of networking, but you'd be surprised the magic that happens in there.
Well,
it's at 1 p.m. BST, like London time.
Okay, so please put that, if you have it scheduled for tomorrow, put that in the nest, and so we'll have it. I'm in Eastern time zone, though, by the way, for anybody who cares. I'm in Philadelphia. Hey, Philly. Any other last words? How about you, Miss Gina?
No, I just wanted to say thank you very much. It's always good. I'm not even sure why your space showed up. I was like, oh, let me go in. I love to be educated about everything on Twitter. So I appreciate your time and sharing this information. That's really, really cool. And I 100% learned something that I didn't know about. So that's all. So that's always good. I gave you a follow. So from now on, I will get a notification when you throw up a space, because that's how it works.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, Jed?
Yeah, I just love it when they figure out these social features that just make it dead easy for people to connect and interact with one another. It's fantastic.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thanks everyone who's joined the space. And you can always listen to this in the replay if you just came in at the tail end, or if you feel like you've missed anything. My DMs are open, so feel free to reach out, and I'll see you in the next space. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Be safe, everyone.